Hello, everyone. I'm Jesus, and welcome to the next episode of The Road to Old School MTG. In this episode, I'll be once again going into the pre-modern format. Last video, I discussed the initial information I learned about pre-modern and looked at a stasis deck to potentially create my own in the future and officially join pre-modern. In this video, we're going to look at the Goblin decks, a couple of them. And for this one, definitely there's going to be more variation in terms of the cards because of the prices of some of these cards. The decks can get pretty pricey. So we're going to look at most likely two versions, one more budget friendly and another one more expensive. And the expensive cards actually tend to be the lands. So we're going to look at a couple options. We're going to play test them using Cockatrice program, and then I'll see which one, which particular version I like, and I'll see if I would maybe be tempted in the future if I were to pick a Goblin deck for pre-modern, if I would be tempted to pay the extra money for a more higher tiered, more expensive version, or just if I could, if it just seems fine for me to use the more budget friendly version. A good way to test that will be through Cockatrice. So you guys will be seeing that whole process of me looking at the deck list and then creating the deck list on Cockatrice and then playing mock games through that program. And then I'll make those decisions right now. So going into my computer here, first of all, so this is the mtgdecks.net website. There's a specific section for pre-modern. And then I like that they range the tiers of the decks. When I first saw this, I saw stasis as, oh, there is stasis tier 1 again. I guess it's kind of like it is a live list. It goes up and down, I guess, depending on top 8s, official top 8s, I guess. Because a couple of days ago, I saw stasis as dropping down to tier 2. Of course, this is probably like, this could be just somebody's opinion, right? So I can't verify, like how valid this is, but at least it gives us a decent idea. And yeah, last time a couple of days I saw stasis has dropped down to tier 2. I guess went back to tier 1. But for us, we're going to be looking at Goblin. So these are the different deck types. And then clicking on it will then give you the specific decks that people have used in various tournaments and then their placement. So here's a first place one. So at $450 something, that seems to be the range for the higher price. This one's almost 100 more. So we'll see. This one's also. This one, it says it got first, if I'm not mistaken. So let's try this one over here. And then we're going to look at one, this one probably, something in the 200-ish range. So supposedly this one got first place. Let's take a look at it. And then in the last pre-modern video, the stasis deck that I ended up liking, I still ended up doing a couple of changes anyway, right? So it was, I believe, like more like 4 or 5 cards, right? So it's not maybe even less, maybe like 3 cards. So it wasn't a huge change by any means, but just to this is more of a template, depending, I guess, how I like it. I might not change anything, but the other one I felt like I changed a couple things here and there, but I could always change it back. All right, so let's see what we have here. And I'm not very familiar with this deck, the idea of it, I am, but the specific cards a lot of this will be new to me. And honestly, in general, a lot of this will be new to me. I stopped playing heavily right as the year 2000 hit. That's when I graduated high school and then went off to college. And then I just lost that circle of friends that I had in high school that played Magic. And then I kept up with it a little bit more, but through, online and, just me buying cards, but really not playing much. And then eventually I just stopped. So some of these cards past the year 2000, I'm not very familiar with. Okay, so skirt prospectors, that says 25 cents. So I was also double checking on TCG Player on the last video. Some cards tended to be a bit off by quite a bit, and I have also familiarized myself with the reprint policy. So for Premodern, the reprint policy is you can have any copy of any legal card allowed from any set in Magic's history. So the allowable cards are from 4th edition to Scourge. That's 95 to 2003, I believe. And then any card that has been reprinted from that batch of sets is allowed to be included in your deck, Premodern deck. So that's why looking at these prices can be a little misleading, because you can always find the cheapest, most current reprint, and it's allowable, as opposed to old school 1994, where you have to follow the same art, same original art, original frame rules, and if not, then a card like Underground Dreams, which I kind of want, but it just and it hasn't been reprinted a lot, just once, I believe, with a different art. So either you get the original from one of the Four Horsemen sets, or actually that's it. You have no other option, because the only other time it was reprinted with original art, original frame, it was also foiled, and no foils allowed because there was no such thing in the year 1994. I think it was late 90s where foiling first came about. And then any other reprint of Underground Dreams no longer has those two things, right? Either the art is different, or the borders is different, or both, right? So, but for this one, so let's pick a card right here, Goblin Lackey, right? So I don't know if there's any available in any other sets. I guess we can go to TCG Player, kind of like look certain one up. But this is a general price. A lot of these can vary by a lot, and some can vary just by a little bit, right? So you still have to do your homework. This is more of a baseline, more of an idea of what it could be. Could be a little higher, a little lower. And I guess we will double check on the for the more expensive ones, since those are the ones that are the most important to know if we're going to be paying that price or not. All right, so Goblin. So this one here, other decks I've seen only one of him, Goblin Sharpshooter. So here it says $14 each. I'm gonna go to TCG Player. So Goblin Sharpshooter. And any card of this is allowed. So I can literally buy any of these. And even the gold ones here, they are allowed as well. And I guess for that one, it depends also on, who's hosting the tournament and whatnot. Similar with 92, 94 old school. Collector's edition, some people like Swiss, they don't allow that, the collector's edition cards. Collector's editions have rounded, have sharp corners. So a lot of people cut the corners. It's called cut corners, so that it looks like a regular card. But on the back, it also has a different border as well, if I'm not mistaken. But just there's visually something different about it. And physically something different about it. This one visually has the gold borders, but since Premodern is a fan created format, there's no such thing as official Premodern tournaments, at least not that I'm aware of. Official as in hosted by Wizards of the Coast, or they were allowed, company asked for permission directly from them. So this one is also fine for that. And actually the gold ones is also allowed for 93, 94, as long as it still has the same art and same frame. But you don't have to worry about that for Premodern. It could have different art, different frame, could be totally different, kind of like this one basically, right? This one has the modern art, modern frame, different art than the original, which would have been here, Onslaught. Okay, so let's look at the prices. So this one is at $14. So I guess that's, here says, sometimes this, once again, I thought this was like the full price, for near mint. And then this is the median for like played, light played, like in the middle. But no, you still got to double check. You still got to go to the next step. So this one seems like it could be the cheapest out of all of these. So looking at, and sometimes it can be a huge difference between near mint and light played. Usually, they're definitely the prices, right? But I feel something's like it's like a 20% difference, maybe 30%. Sometimes it's like legit double the price. And sometimes it's like just a couple dollars difference, where just might as well just get the near mint. So here for this one, for the most latest one, so basically $10, $11. So a little bit cheaper than it said here. This is more of what you saw on mtgdecks. Same thing here. All right, so all in all, this price was not way off. And you definitely can get these at that price in near mint. All right, then asking for four. Oh, okay, this definitely I want to double check this one because this one's pretty expensive, and there's 4 of them. Goblin Lackey. All right, the original one is actually, according to this, the cheapest. That's pretty interesting. But that's because these are special. This one's special secret layers. That's limited edition kind of. You can think about it in those terms. Light play $12. Let's look at near mint. You see just a dot. Well, we're shipping $2 more, so 14. So actually, this one has it a bit higher. And if you're getting 4 of them, then the difference could be come into play. So let's say 14 light played. Actually, yeah. I think it's not much of a difference between light play and near mint, at least consistently, no. All right, let's say 15. So once again, not that far off. If it's 18, like $3 off, I guess. Looking at this other one, near mint is 21, so I'm not even gonna check anything else. Foil, forget. So the original one is the cheapest, and this price is a little high, I guess a couple bucks, but not so far off either. And then anything else? We should import this one actually. This could be important. Yeah, you see, imagine. Let's say this one seems like it could be the cheapest. No, let's see. So if there's a gold border version, light plate. I mean, unless the near mint is super more. Oh yeah. So that's a huge difference. So that must be something. else. So near mint, 8, 10, 12. Light played, $2, $3, $4. All right. So this guy is selling. He has 4 of them available, so you can get them for less than $2 each. Here it was posted as, there we go, as $19. That's a huge difference. And there's 3 of them, right? So that's already saves you what is it? 19. That's almost, yeah, like over $50. So this deck here that it was mentioned at 450 something is right now has dropped $50 in price. You know, assuming you're okay with buying the gold border lightly played version. For me, I'm gonna most likely do that because the reason why I'm more tempted for 9294 old school to get the original cards, you know, supposed to collector's edition, like for the dual lands, I have revised and so far I have 17, right? So I'm almost halfway. And every now and then I'm kind of tempted to get collector's edition for those. But you know, like I just first of all already started collecting the revised ones for the other ones. So it'd be cool to have a full playset of all 10 dual lands in revised, right? The same set. But you know, just you know, whenever possible, if just for me in terms of a personal preference, nostalgia, I would prefer that, right? Because I never ever even knew about collector's edition until I was researching to join old school 1994 old school, right? So that's why there's for a lot of these cards here, like for me, there's not much of a personal connection with some of these cards, like Richard and Port. I never play with it, so I don't, you know, there's no nostalgia there for me. So I don't mind getting that gold border ones, right? So, and everybody's a little different, of course, but for me, I'm perfectly fine. Wasteland, another one. You see, the only good thing about this is that a lot of the decks use a lot of these lands. So that's one of the good things about it. If you end up getting these cards, it'll be useful throughout other decks as well. Richard and Port, especially that one is just colorless. Okay, Wasteland. So this is the equivalent of Strip Mine. So let's see Wasteland. So Richard and Port, huge price difference from Waste. Oops, Wasteport, Waste. Is it all together? Wasteland? Wasteland. Yep, one word. So here, 3 for $25. That's okay. And armor, we can get any of them as long as it's magic together, you know, of course. So this one says 20. So they seem original here in the 30-ish. There's another reprint, 20-ish. Same thing. I don't even think that counts as anything. Well, that's a bit of a gray area, right? I guess it's technically not a card. Okay, here we go. Okay, that's a big difference. So let's see this $5 price tag. If that's for light play, yeah, light play $5. Oof, that's a huge difference. So let's see, what are you getting near mint? Same thing. So might as well get near mint. It costs $6, $7, $5, $6, $7. So here it was being yep, so I guess $18, $17 less, and then times 3. So honestly, that's between that and the other one, that's over 100 already cheaper. And this is the more expensive one, right? So we're already around like in the 300 range. We're not that far off from the other one, the other deck that we're going to take a look at, actually, right? So that's pretty surprising, right? So you got to do your homework here, because legit, you can save 100. So far, just from this, you just seen us knock out over $100 from the suggested value in mtgdecks to what is truly available for purchase. And I guess mtgdecks is not using, well, not I guess, I'm certain, right? They're not using these because, once again, not tournament legal, but they are. So there are, of course, other formats, right, that are sanctioned by Wizards of the Coast. So if you spend the money for this and then you wanted to join something else, you couldn't use it. So if you want to have that flexibility, then you have to then get one of these other versions, right? And then you can, of course, save money by getting more like light played or played, even more so moderately played, like even damaged. As long as it's not torn up badly, you can still use it. But if you're, for me, like, I just want old school stuff, right? So and so I don't anticipate me going into, I mean, I quit standard, right? Because it was getting too gimmicky. The sets are way too, they're being churned out way too quickly. Just, you don't have time to build a connection to the cards, to the game, I felt, right? Of course, my personal opinion. So I definitely don't have foresee that. So I'm totally cool with these gold border ones. All right, so I think that's enough, because that's already a huge price difference. Wooded Foothills. I guess we can take a look at that Wooded Foothills. I'm sure a lot of these, it's going to be similar. Card list, deck list to the other one. So so for this one, there is no gold bordered version. So this one here, let's see, the original one, is super expensive, 70. So this price that you're seeing here with the Foothills of $33 must be for this one, Concept Tarkir. Must be for that version. If it's 33, 34 light played. Let's see, what is a near mint? Actually, same price. You see, there you go. If you just went off what you originally got here, it tends to start off with light play. That's what they tend to show you initially. TCG player. Unless I'm clicking something, which I don't think I am. So if you saw that, it's like, okay, I'm not even going to look at near mint if it's this expensive. But then I just looked at it, and then it was just a couple dollars. Sometimes it's even no difference. Light play 32, 32, 32, 31, 33. Now let me go to near mint. 33, 33, 32, literally the same price, right? So you would have missed out on getting near mint cards as opposed to light play cards for basically the same price. So you got to watch out for that. Of course, near mint TCG player, like I've commented on videos before, like they're extremely unreliable with that. But more likely than not, on the more expensive ones, you're going to get what you paid for. At least I hope so. All right, so that one is, do I even look at the other ones? Let's see. So here in this case, right, so it would have been cool to have the actual Onslaught ones. But imagine moderately played. So there we go. This one is not even light play, moderately played. Let's see, what is it in near mint? Actually, not that big deal. 60, just $10 more. And you can go from moderately played to near mint. I think that's, if you're looking to get from the original version, I think I might do that. All right. So in that one, it was definitely accurate, this price. And that's for the cheapest allowable reprinted card. Here, Blood Moon, but there's different ones. And for this one specifically, I will get one. I will get, if, first of all, I'm not really looking at the sideboard for these decks so much, but just for someone who wants to make decks that can go from format to format to format, I have been looking at buying Blood Moons. It's just a great old school card. Really slows down decks that are heavy on non-basic lands, which are many. I would say most decks. Some decks literally have no basic lands. So you play Blood Moon. I've lost games because of Blood Moon. So it's so then if I do get one, I will get something that would match into the 93-94 old school format. So that's also something to consider. For pre-modern, it doesn't matter which version of Blood Moon or whatever card you want to get, but in other formats it does matter. So might as well get the one that you can use in throughout various formats. Okay. All right. So I think that's enough looking at the prices. Let's actually create this deck. So one Skirk Prospector. Oop, that's the deck name. So set one, you click on the green to put it into your main deck, Goblin King. Click on the card name, image will show up there. And you click on the green, how many times you want that particular card. 2 Goblin Sharpshooter. Siege Gang Commander, 3 of them. Oops. You don't have to finish up the whole name. 3 Gem Palm Incinerator. Was it 3 or 4? 3. 1, 2, 3. 4 Goblin Lackey. One, two, three, 4. 4 Goblin Ringleader. 2, 3, 4. Goblin War Chief. Stop sharing. Share again. This thing here is a little too close. So, how many goblin? Oh, 4 of them. My mistake. They're going to put Goblin War. Oh, I didn't click any more than one. All right, 4. Goblin Matron. I've been making some decks for potentially for the school where I teach. I'm a middle school music teacher. And here we go. That's weird. This seems to be a glitch. Okay, I got 4 of them. So I've been looking through some other cards I have, and so I've noticed some of these cards in them. So I might just use some of those pile driver for. One, two, three, 4. Definitely, I have a couple of Goblin Matrons. I saw those. Moog Fanatic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lightning Bolt. Harsh Charm. Missions, I may have that. One forest. Three ports. Three wasteland. Ooh, Carplucent Forest I already have, so that's cool. That's one of those things again. In this case, I already had the Ice Age version because I'm in Alice. But then any other dual land type card, pain lands in this case, I would get the version that allowed me to use it in Alice as well, right? So I gotta watch out for that. With the foothills, mountain, 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 23 lands, 60 card deck. Yep. So goblins 1. What the heck? Modern. Save deck. No. Start local game. Some of these, not all of these are created by me. Cockatrice already had some decks. All right. So this one's cool. This here you can see the full deck. Tens is really helpful for me. Like I can visualize swaps easier instead of just seeing a deck list. Actually seeing the cards, at least for me, it's helpful for that, for editing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And a lot of these I didn't even look at the cards, right? So I'm going to be learning about them as I see them. So pay 1 land, sacrifice, look for a mountain or horn. All right, so that's thins out the deck. First of all, I don't necessarily have to keep this hand, right? So I will probably mulligan. I have 4 lands. All right, this is better. So under the rules, I gotta put 1 back. I would probably put this one. Move to bottom of library. All right. So yeah, this is the same as the strip mine. All right, turn 1. I'm assuming I go first because I always want to go first. Nothing to cast. Draw. Definitely I need to take 1. View library. Mountain. Here you can see the actions. Usually when you stop looking at your deck, it auto shuffles for you. But I still like to double check. All right, so 2 lands, still nothing. So imagine that the opponent did something, slow them down. Okay, so this one, either one could be fine. So wasteland and that. So this is more just once you're going, you want to disrupt the opponent. Right, so then your lands are dual purpose, not just for you to, be on the offensive and also do stuff every now and then. Maybe once the decks, if it goes into later in the deck in the game, then this could be good for control, just so that the opponent doesn't, it takes them longer to get back and starts leveling, the playing field. So I'm assuming this is the game plan for these 2 type of lands. For me, I just need them for mana production. So comes into play for search for a goblin. So this is where now knowing the deck comes into play. I don't know the deck enough to know which one to get. Should I do this one? So actually last turn I could have cycled instead. When you cycle, it may have a DX where actually the number of goblins in play. All right. Because this card is not particularly good. Gem Palm Incinerator. This card is there strictly for the cycling ability, right? And I guess if you have enough of the other things going on, I guess you can still cast it and, you know, as a goblin. But this one's there to thin out the deck and for special ability. So boom, Goblin Matron. Let's see. View library. Okay. Guess Goblin this one. So this is another one. I'm gonna like deals damage to play. You may put a Goblin permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. Yeah. I have a couple goblins, but once there's no other goblins, and then this is so big part of the deck is to be aggressive initially. So I don't have that in this one. So most likely, I don't know what could be good. So this one's only good if with more goblins. This Goblin King is the best thing to get. All right. Once again, it shuffles, right? So auto shuffle. Okay, you cast that. Drop another land. So Goblin Sharpshooter is nice because the more creatures you put into play, you can ping more and more. Okay, so here, let's say I do this. So this is a 2/2 now, but yeah. So this game honestly is not good. Concede. Let's try second one. I've seen videos of this deck in action, right? So that what I just happened to me was horrible. That's totally not what the deck is supposed to do. All right, so here, take 1 damage. So that card is strictly to thin out the deck. So you're more likely to draw a creature. All right, so now tap Goblin Lackey. So this is what you want to do. So let's say it gets killed because you definitely want to kill that thing. Goblin Lackey is maybe the strongest card. So let's say this one. The short target artifact creature or all attacking creatures get +1% until end of turn. That's most likely why you want that specific effect. Card, target creature with power 2 or less is unblockable. Yeah, that could also come into play, especially with the Goblin Lackey. You make it unblockable and then you can cast a like when I gotta deal damage to a play, you may put a Goblin permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield, right? So that's really strong. All right, so put that there. All right. So let's say the second one stays alive. I will always opt for the foothill so that it thins out my deck. So this is the only reason why there's some mountains here, most likely. So there's targets for the wooded foothills. All right, so 3. I can do, first of all, I guess I would attack. If the opponent has something in play. Actually, let's see. So this is the Goblin War Chief. So have haste. So this one could have haste. And taps, shuffles. Okay, I already put out a land. I was double checking if I put a land in it. So this one I can put only cards into play, but there's not that much. I only got 2 cards there. And I'm assuming this is already the 3rd turn. Opponent has something out in play. So I could do that, but then I could just cast the card and then cast the creature already. Goblin Matron, that seems like the play to do. View library. Then maybe Goblin King, because I'm starting to get some creatures here. Drop a land. So this one I'll just most likely just use for colorless. Goblin King. So let's say now in this one, you attack with the goblin, give it unblockable. It's unblockable. Yeah, I was double checking if it was unblockable. So it's unblockable. Boom. Get a free war chief. So this is definitely more of what you want. Concede. I'm not loving it though. But I see the potential though. For the stasis one, the first from the last video, the first deck I just totally didn't like. This one is so-so. Of course, I'm sure I'm doing some things wrong. As I'm researching all this, I'm also learning about the decks. So every now and then, I'm just not familiar with, all the cards, all the ins and outs, the little tricks that you can do, which I'm sure are instrumental to the performance of not just this deck, but any of these, higher tier decks. So, definitely bear with me. I'm learning as I'm showing you guys. I'm also learning as well. Goblin Lackey, first turn, right? So opponent wants to kill it. So I'm assuming it's dead. Okay. Ooh, I didn't notice I had the foothills. So I also misplayed by me. I should have done the foothills. Always do the foothills unless you need a certain effect for some reason. Okay. So I can only cast this. Opponents cast something. I destroy it. Untap, draw. Same thing. Foothills. Oops, I forgot the life. Be a library. Mountain. Ooh, this one's cool. Protection from blue. So if it gets +2/+3 for each attacking goblin. So this one is huge, but it's the one that's going to get blocked. All right, next turn. So drop this. See, you can already anticipate the combo that's going to have with Siege Gang Commander. So boom. 1, 2, 3. Leave the mountain open so you can fake having a lightning bolt or something like that. So this one has summoning sickness. I guess you attack with these two. This one becomes 3/2. Let's say they both get killed. All right, next turn on tap. Hopefully get a land. Nope, it did not. But I could cast it at least. So in this case, the goblin itself is more important than the effect, right? So I was goblin sharpshooter, the opponent, cast them, keep it there. Untap next turn, boom, getting those foothills a lot. So of course, then I bring a land, cast this one. I put 3 1/1s into play, so I can, if I'm not mistaken, I gotta double check this. So the Siege Gang Commander came into play. So, well, as I cast it, sharpshooter. Now it's in play. Whenever you see, there we go. I was misplaying this. Whenever a creature dies, so not whenever it deals damage. So I misread that. Similarly, I misread a different card in the stasis one, the root maze card. So this one I was about to do the same. I did do the same mistake, but at least I caught it during the video. Whenever a creature dies, so this is, I guess, is better. Is meant more for destroying the opponent's defense before you attack. So then that brings into play other things. So, but then that means the second ability is stronger. So sacrifice a goblin, deals 2 damage. So I dealt 1 to something. sacrifice one of the tokens, boom. Do another 2, that's 3 damage. It untaps it because I sacrificed a creature. Whenever a creature dies, and it could also be opponent's creature. Ideally, it would be. But I can sacrifice, get my own stuff killed on purpose. The Skirk Prospector also works, right? So I can sacrifice my own stuff. And then with this on, some stuff can be happening there. All right. So this game also so I'm not loving this deck. It could just be not being much of an aggro player, at least for red. This hand was pretty solid, but only 1 land. So let's keep it. Goblin Lackey. Unfortunately, not what I wanted. Can I? Yeah, but at least I can still cast it. So let's say it does go through in this case, right? Because it's first turn. For some decks are slow. If they don't have anything, and then they didn't have any removal, I would have them, this one, and then so let's see, what would I pick? Most likely the Ringleader. When run goes, view the top 4 cards of your library, put all Goblin cards viewed this way into your hand. So top 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Whenever you draw, it goes to the right side of your hand here. So these are the first 4. So on the bottom. So the 2 lands go on the bottom, but unfortunately, those are the ones I need more lands. But I keep these 2. And then now I can cast this one as well. So I've seen Goblin Ringleader in action. It's devastating. Okay, so that's enough games. Honestly, I'm not loving it. All right, but then let's take a look at so this is the more expensive version. But like I just showed you guys, you can knock out over $100 really, if you don't mind the gold bordered cards. So the one that just double checking which one it was. Was it this one? Well, whatever. I'm sure most of these have extremely similar deck lists. But here now, let's look at the difference between that and then one supposedly $200 cheaper, almost 200. Really, it's not that much cheaper. The other one was already close to in the low 300s already. Once I considered the gold border cards. Okay, so this one did top 8, this one did top 8 either. Maybe I've seen that name, so let's click on this one. So one Goblin King, that's the same. One Sharpshooter, this one's different. This one only has 1. This one has more Prospectors, Siege Gang Commanders, Fanatic, War Chief, Ringleader, Paldero, Mage, and Lackey. All these are practically the same as the other one. So here's the difference. Pyrokinesis, I can see that one being in this one. Ooh, and this one has 4 lightning bolts. So I can see that being there. This version may be more for me. So with the Foothills, unfortunately, that's the one that doesn't have a cheaper alternative, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is the one that doesn't have a cheaper alternative. But at least I already have the Capucin Forest. So if I wanted to do this one, I would have to splurge on those Wooded Foothills. Yep. That $30 range one is the cheapest you're going to get, at least for something in good condition. Let's see. Lightly played is already, so let's see. Moderately played. 30. Oof. You see? You got to watch out for this. There's basically no difference between practically no difference between near mint, light played, and moderately played. That's a huge deal when it comes to the grading, right? Huge difference in grading, but not huge difference in differences in price. So I'm pretty surprised by that. So it's always good to, I tend to check on near mint and light play. Maybe I should also check the grading right below, which I believe is moderately played. Just to get a fuller view of what the card is going for. All right, so that one cannot be avoided much, actually, at all. And then nothing expensive on the thing. So yeah, so that's where the price difference comes in. So just to compare it, let's see. And so the instance differences is this, the other one has pyrokinesis, this one has a hearth charm, which I can see benefits of both, but then this one has 4 lightning, the other one has 4 lightning bolts, so it's supposed to just the 1. So that means it must drop down a little bit on the creatures, but it has the same creatures. There's no one that's here that's not in the other one, just different amounts. The other one only had 1 goblin sharpshooter. This one, particular one, had 2. But this is the word differences. There's no Rishadan Ports, there's no Wastelands, there's no Wooded Foothills. But honestly, we've seen Wastelands are like $5-6 for the gold border. Rishadan Ports are $2 light play. So you can definitely kind of combine the two. So I could still keep that because the Wooded Foothills, that's the main one. This one, both decks have this one. Unfortunately, this is the one that's the most expensive. It's over 100 for the playset. But so that's unavoidable. But these, it's not that much money to actually get these as well. So then it's more about, do you like having the 4 lightning bolts? Do you like having that direct damage more and not so much, all right, so that's what I'll do. I'm going to, since the decks are so similar, I'm just going to edit this one out to make it match like the one here. 1 Goblin King, that's still the same. 1 Goblin Sharpshooter, this one had 2, where's it? So 1, so that's a little bit cheaper. 2 Skirk Prospectors. 2 Siege King Commanders. I think the other one had more. Okay, this one had, yeah. So only 2. Gem Pump, only 2 Gem Pump Incinerators. I guess since this version has more direct damage, so I guess it needs a less. 4 Moog Fanatic, I believe this one had 4. Yep. More 4 War Chief, 4 Ringleader. War Chief, there it is, 4 and 4. So for these, Pile Driver, Matron, Lackey, I believe it had it. Pile Driver, Lackey, Matron. Yep. So that's the same. So I just added like 3, max 4 of them. So creatures 32. Yep. 9 matches. Lightning bolts. This is where the huge difference comes into play. Oops. 4 lightning bolts. No hearth charms. Pyrokinesis. And this one. Oops. For this one, I was already thinking about this. Unless I already have it, I got to double check. But I would get the Alice actually either Alliances or Ice Age version. So that way I could use it in Alice as well. So 2 of those. So 1 card over, so that means this version has 1 land less. 22 lands, yep, the other one has 23. So the 3 with the foothills, this one, the other one, okay, there you go. This one has 3 only. It still has the 4 Conclusion Force, which I believe you had it, yep. And honestly, I'm not gonna change the rest of the lands. I might. Just for the fact that maybe having that colored mana makes a bigger difference. We'll see, right? But I mean, I can't tell until I play test this. All right. So far, this version is a mix. It has the cheaper version, the cheaper option that only did top 8, right? Didn't the other version supposedly won the tournament. But I barely did much of, so I kept most of the lands that were expensive because you can actually get them pretty cheaply, the ones that were omitted. And the one that was expensive is unavoidable. Although this one has 3 of them as opposed to 4. That one makes not much of sense actually, because you do want to still thin out your deck, right? So we'll see. And then, but a lot of times it's literally just because if this was online tournament through camera, right, or maybe in person, people legit, just they didn't have the money for with the foothills, right? So sometimes some of these are not 100% optimized because legit people just didn't have the money or didn't want to commit any more money to it, right? So, because yeah, this seems odd that it would be only 3, but I'll keep that as like that. But so far I'm gonna try both versions with this land base and then the one that I have now, which is basically the land base of the other deck. So let's give it a shot. So I think I saved the deck. All right, so this is still the same deck. I just edited the list. So what did I say? Goblins. 1 Premodern. All right, let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oof, this was horrible. Take mulligan. Let's see how I do with the mulligans though. Okay, this is a lot better. 1 card, so I would put back, honestly, the ports or probably I'll put back the port. All right, so I'm assuming I go first. You always want to go first. Oop, there we go. I was going to make that mistake. So mountain, strictly just to thin out the deck. Moog Fanatic. You can sacrifice it to deal 1 damage. And then that'll trigger the sharpshooter. So drop another one, nothing else to do, but let's say I attack. If the opponent had a creature, I will lightning bolt it so this guy could get through. And then future attacks could get through as well. So unfortunately, I did not have that 3rd land. And maybe in hindsight, maybe I should have kept it because I could have cast these 2. And I would have put back the Siege Gang. So that for my next one, if that happens, I'll do that. Yeah. So there's 22 lands, I believe, right? So honestly, I should be getting that extra land. That 3rd one, even with the mulligan. We'll see. So second time there's few lands. I just need 1 more. So let's roll the dice. Right, it's all about rolling the dice, especially with a first turn Goblin Lackey. So let's say it stayed in place. So oof. So no land, but if for some miracle it's in play and then it dealt the damage, let's say a couple of options. Most likely the ringleaders too. The temptation's there too much. So Rio top 4 cards and then put, well, actually I'm gonna just draw them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oof. In this case, I would keep all 4 cards. Of course, I have to discard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But I do have, so I can drop this for 1, take a damage. So this one, the ringleader is not much, it's nothing special, honestly. So you can sacrifice it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to cast something else. Or sacrifice this guy. Yeah, not much here that I would change for. So maybe remove a war chief because I already have another one. All right, so that was better. Of course, I'm assuming a lot of things. Assuming the goblin lackey went through. Okay, once again, no land. So low on lands. Let's see. Okay, this is more of what you should expect. So the issue hasn't been I'm getting too many Richland ports or too many wastelands and not enough red colored lands. The issue has been I just haven't been getting enough lands at all. So Book Fanatic, Pyrokinesis costs, it can cost you no lands. So that's always nice. Plus it clears the way for other stuff. Pyrokinesis, you may exile a red card from your hand rather than pay its casting cost. Pyrokinesis deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. So only creatures. I thought it could also target players. But still, it clears the board, right? Especially in the early game, because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to kill your opponent in the early game. There, and then, unfortunately, the only other red card I have is this, right? So, all right, so let's say you attack, and then, all right, untap, oof. And this one, I'm getting too much. So I would drop this. Doesn't do much, though. Okay, so this one would be 3, 4. All right. All right, so creatures have haste. And plus, I have no other creature red card in it. So it may be more important for me to, actually, let me drop more red. Wait, now that I think about it, why is Caplus Forest here? Oh, it must be the sideboard. Yeah, I'm like, why is it there at all? Color of the claw. Okay, and then naturalize. Okay. I mean, with a foothills, that's just good, even if you were 100% monocolored. But yeah, the Caplus Forest made no sense. They don't realize, right? But only if you bring those sideboard cards. So if your sideboard, you decide to make your sideboard a little different, then you could just drop more price. Like that's another 20 something dollars. You don't need any Caplus Forest, just put in more mountains. So, we're taking these decks as is, but of course you have to customize it as you choose, right? So since I'm not even considering the sideboard at the moment, right? Because I'm having a hard enough time just understanding the decks here, right? And learning all these cards. It's gonna be even trickier to also look at the sideboards, right? So I think once I understand the decks better, then I can go back to the MTG decks and then look at the sideboard and then understand why certain cards were sideboarded, added to the sideboard for certain decks. All right, so this one, I definitely like this version better. And I have not been affected by not enough red. So I would then do the hybrid version, which is basically a mixture of both. The second deck, the cheaper deck, that had more direct damage, but I would keep the expensive lands from the other one. But mainly because I could get those happen to be gold bordered lands that I could get cheaper. Like $30, I could get the 6, 7 cards, other lands, right? So definitely worth it. Okay. All right, so that's the deck. Of course, I'm sure, I'm missing some nuance here and there. And and I still test these decks out even after this video, right? So it's not like I stop the video and then I don't look at this anymore. This was just initially for you guys to see how you research, how you play test using Cockatrice or whatever other program you want to use. Right, and then maybe even customize, right? So I did a little customization right now, right? So I ended up doing a bit of a hybrid where I added the direct damage from the other deck, but I kept the mana base from the first deck, right? So there you saw some editing live on video. But all in all, like was initial impressions, it seems okay. I'm not particularly blown away by it. To me personally, the other deck, the Stasis deck, is a lot more fun. Of course, Stasis decks are notorious for people hating them, right? So that just, I think that says more about me than about this Goblin deck, right? So nothing wrong with the Goblin deck, right? I like alternate ways of winning, or not alternate ways of winning, but alternate ways of creating your deck in order to win, right? So the Stasis deck still kills you through damage, but it does it in a way that locks the game up, right? So I just naturally gravitate towards those kind of things, and it doesn't have to be like control, right? So I like Armageddon decks. That's what I basically made exclusively, or at least most of, for initially when I joined 1994 old school, because it's aggressive, but then it has that locking mechanism, right? So it locks out the games by destroying the lands, right? So it's not just 100% aggression and that's it, right? So this one seems like it's just all about the aggression, which is cool, but just personal preference, it just doesn't excite me as much. But I will continue to both play test the deck that I just created on Cockatrice, but also keep on checking other decks from mtgdecks, other Goblin decks, seeing what other cards maybe those other decks had, and then maybe adding it to this one, right? So I'll continue to experiment, to play test, to edit, and then maybe that future version I like a little better, right? But I don't anticipate, since these decks are so precise already, a lot of people have put in a lot of work into fine-tuning these decks. There's just not going to be that big of a difference in cards between the first deck and the second deck. The main difference was, of course, a little bit more direct damage. Actually, a lot more direct damage. That is a big difference, to be fair. The mana base was just cheaper in one version, right? So I wouldn't say better or worse, just it was more budget conscious, budget friendly. But the creatures were nearly identical, right? So just one more here or one less there for like 3 or 4 of them, and then, right? So the creatures were extremely similar amounts, and there were no new creatures, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, if my initial feeling is, meh, I don't see me changing my opinion much. But we'll see. I mean, in the Stasis video from last one, those two decks, it was a huge difference in terms of how I enjoyed the deck, those two versions of the deck, right? The first one, like, I just didn't like it at all. And I didn't like just the idea behind it, right? Just didn't seem, me personally, doesn't seem like it works. I'm sure it does, right? Because it seemed like it had, a lot of top 8s and a lot of wins, but just didn't excite me. And then, just seemed, just wasn't to my liking. But the second version, which honestly also, to be fair, there wasn't huge differences in cards, but those differences did prove to make that second version way more enjoyable. It did have the 4 root maces, but then the Elvish Spirit Guides, those are the only green cards, so that's 6. And then the The counterspell type cards were a little different. So I mean, I guess maybe definitely 6 cards were different, right? The green cards, and then a little bit of a variation in terms of the counter spells, but that did it enough. That was enough of a change for me to like that version a lot more. So I won't rule out that I could definitely, maybe through just experimenting more and checking things out more, I could maybe bump this up a bit more. But initially, my initial thoughts are like, I don't think I would go for this deck unless I find a version that excites me a lot more than what I have seen so far. So far, Stasis the one. Definitely strongly considering that one. And this one, not so much. But I will continue doing a couple more videos and then testing out other decks, and then eventually making my decision in terms of what deck or maybe decks I end up actually committing to purchasing the cards and actually committing to entering the format officially. Thank you for watching.